We're going to have Elana Freeland here. She's up in Olympia, Washington, so she's going to be talking to us through the Zoom. You guys, this is an amazing author. Did you guys know she's written 9 books? Something very close to my heart because my kid did go to Waldorf school, and I do love Rudolf Steiner. It's very good reading if you guys enjoy it. She pioneered 2 Waldorf schools, so she's definitely a Rudolf Steiner follower. She's a teacher, a lecturer. She's even does ghostwriting. She's even done interpretations or writings for people who were making statements about MK Ultra and things of that nature, including ritual abuse. So she's documented those kinds of things. She has a degree in biology, which I knew that, but kind of didn't remember. In 2012, she wrote 4 books called Sub Rosa America. They're actually a novel, but they're a mix of history and fiction. And I believe it was inspired because in 1963, at age 16, she represented the Girls' Nation for her state in DC. And Elana got to stand in the Rose Garden with President John Kennedy. Yeah, she did that. That was part of her. And think about that. I mean, it's very moving. I think it would move me to do things too. And that, I believe, inspired her to begin her writing. And she began those 4 books called Sub Rosa America. But what's interesting is after Kennedy's assassination, she was the go-to, and people wanted her to speak about her time with Kennedy in the Rose Garden in DC because it meant a lot to Americans. She went on to write her next 5 books, and you guys saw some of them up here. In 2014, she wrote Chemtrails, HARP, and which you guys know is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of the Planet. In 2017, she actually wrote a story called What Would Solon Have Done? And it was part of a book called If I Were King, Advice for President Trump. And it was actually edited by someone pretty amazing, and I can't remember his name, but Catherine Austin Fitts wrote the introduction to it. Then in 2018, she wrote Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. And then in 2021, Geoengineered Transhumanism, and that's the book that I think Bob was holding it up, right? Yeah, Bob was holding the book up. And that is how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, nanotechnology, and synthetic biology, which they're calling SynBio now. And so now there's this new book, which you guys have seen me holding it. I'm going to hold it up again. The Geoengineered Transhumanism. It has a different subtitle than the other book. It's the hidden tech of HARP, chemtrails, 5G, 6G, nanotech, SynBio, which is synthetic biology, and scientific effort to transform humanity. It's an amazing book. This current book discusses so many subjects. It talks about like the graphene. She calls it the magical synbiocarbon. She talks about nanomedicals, and we all know about those nanomedicals because of all the chemtrails, which you guys could throw them out at me. Mercury, strontium, I don't have to tell you guys, this is an informed group. She talks about the aerosol dispensing, controlled jet streams, even wildfires is in there. She talks about smart dust. Does anybody know what smart dust is? Yeah, it's amazing. So everyone, let's give a deserved welcome to our speaker, Elana Freeland.
All right. So thank you for this invitation to speak in Santa Monica, even virtually. I'm so sorry I can't be there in the flesh. That's much better. But I am now writing the next book, which I contracted with Inner Traditions to write. And it is the companion volume on synthetic biology. It's a companion to the book that just came out, The Geoengineered Transhuman. And I'm excited about this book because I'm going to write it pretty much as a narrative because I think I've explained and proven the existence of the geoengineering classified program that I write about. And now I can talk about things that are close to your heart, namely your physical body, that you want to keep it in good health, that we live in a a time of great change. So how shall we face it? What do we need to do in order to have a wonderful life, a full life in a time like this? And so I've begun that. And I also am, and I want you to, if you can, if you're interested, go back to the table where Marin is after the talk, and please look at the course that I'll be teaching. It starts in 2 weeks, and this is with an Irish group who contacted me, and they apparently have authors who have written extensively. I think it's a minimum of 3 books or something, and that these authors then present. A very interesting crew, and I'm excited to do it because I want people to understand the entire edifice of this weapon system that goes by the innocuous name of geoengineering. It's far more than you know. And tonight I'm going to go through it just to make sure that you work on your mental picture of how big this program is. It's far more than chemtrails, but the chemtrails are, it's a wonderful place to start for really calling our attention to how to take care of ourselves and our children and grandchildren. So let me start my PowerPoint. And let's see if there was anything else I needed. I'm sorry I don't have more books. We pretty much put this presentation together not that long ago, and I need more time if I have the publishers send a whole big box of books. So I apologize for that. All right, so let's start seeing. All right, where are we in the universe? So we used to have a Copernican model, and it's not quite right. We really need a model more like what this video shows. Now, I won't play it all. I'm just going to play a bit of it. So there we are, speeding through space. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Because we don't feel the wind blowing on us. We don't fall off our planet. We follow the sun, our star. Our troposphere is 12 miles thick. It's really not very much. Above us is the stratosphere that you fly in when you're in a jet. That's 12 to 31 miles. And then the ionosphere, take a jump here because I'm skipping the mesosphere. The ionosphere is 49 to 428 miles from us. It plays a very big role in this weapon system. And then there's the plasma sphere. It's part of the upper ionosphere, and then the lower magnetosphere. It's donut shaped. And then the magnetosphere is up to 37,282 miles.
Ilana, the audio's a little bit off. Does the video have audio on it? Is that what's interfering with your voice?
Yes. You can't hear the audio of the
It
what
goes
do you
back
hear?
and forth between your voice and the audio of the video, so it's cutting off, so it's hard to understand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was being so clever. All right, we'll go ahead here. Um, the only thing is I was saying that the magnetosphere, and that's also very important, that's CERN, is up 37,282 miles with a long magnetotail that, according to what we're told, stretches for 4 million miles. So it's pretty extraordinary. our position in space. And it's good to be reminded of it because we get very earthbound, of course, and it's important for us to understand that we are living in space, and some people are taking that very seriously. I'll tone that down so you can hear me now. We all know the chemtrails. And I think it's important here to see that it's not all coming up the back of the jet. It comes out the wings as well. And these chemtrails end up being a very, very chemical looking clouds. Not at all the clouds that I remember from my youth. And they're sort of shredded along the edges, which indicates a chemical signature. These clouds are not the clouds of yesteryear. These are plasma clouds. They're primarily created from man-made from the electromagnetism that is used with lasers and radar installations, and some of the chemicals with the nanotechnology in it. So it's a completely different world that the atmosphere has been created out of now. This is one of the first things that Clifford Carnicom shared with me back when we met in around 2005 was that the atmosphere had been changed. And for him, it was a very sad event because it's true that the atmosphere is not really natural anymore. Let's see if I can get this to play.
An aircraft comprising a gas turbine engine that exhausts a plume of gases in use. The aircraft comprises an ultrasound generator having an ultrasound actuator and a waveguide to direct ultrasonic waves at the exhaust plume to avoid the formation of contrails.
So here you have a patent that can actually produce the chemical signature that we're accustomed to seeing being laid by jets, but you won't see a trail out the back of those jets. The trail will be invisible because they're using sound, ultrasound, to break it down. So when people tell me that they have wonderful clear days, my question is always, how blue is that sky? Is it a deep blue? If it's not a deep blue, if it's a baby blue, then it's possible that this technology is being used. So let's keep that in mind. If we were able to see the waves all around us now that we are a completely wireless civilization, it might look something like this. It's kind of what we live in now, and we're accustomed to it. We breathe it, and we're really not that aware of it unless it's like there's fog, like that fog that we had, the chemical fog recently. So let's keep that in mind as well. What I'm trying to show you is that the space fence, which is a Lockheed Martin term, is active, and we are all plugged into it one way or another. It's not a future tense; it's already happening now, and we're all in it. And so I'm going to show you some of the things this means. This is we all know the name, I would assume, Sabrina Wallace, who is sort of our tutor as to the technology that we are all subject to, and that comes from Lockheed Martin's term for the space fence. There are other terms that we use, like smart grid. There are many terms that we turn to, but it's basically the space fence. So on the right, you see how Wi-Fi views our wireless body area network that's in our physical body, and has to do with the fact that we're plugged into the space fence. It's interesting, isn't it, that what you're seeing there is really light, very vague-looking light, because we're beings of light. And this particular chart is simply showing you how we are connected to all of these grid items, the computer, the internet, the towers, the cell phones, and that we're kind of involved in their frequencies as well. If we have them near us, if the satellite, for example, is over us, uh, we end up being part of that transmission, usually not extremely and severe, but definitely we're connected to it. We have control over the jet stream. This is evident in, if you look at the Doppler images off coast. Here I live in the Pacific Northwest. They pretty much create most of the weather 200 miles west of me out in the water, that they then tack onto the jet stream that they control and send east for tornadoes, droughts, rainstorms, earthquakes, etc. So if you can think of the atmosphere as being really extremely full and rich with many operations, all of which have different frequencies, so they're not confused with each other. They're separate. Many of them are military, many of them are civilian, uh, and this is the big reason why we have the chemtrails. Initially, was to make sure that the atmosphere stays readily ionized, kind of battery ready for all of these transmissions that are part of the space fence lockdown. Let's spend a few minutes. I have down here 4 minutes. That's around there. And maybe you've seen this film, but I highly recommend it. It's called Resonance: Beings of Frequency. And this is the bit about the Schumann resonance, which now is not necessarily what we are capable of transmitting anymore. I mean, we're not. They're messing around with the Schumann resonance because they're using frequencies in experimental situations on us. So let's just see how it was a long time ago when this was discovered. What was discovered was that the Schumann resonance 7.83 is actually the frequency of the human brain. Funny that.
An unknown scientist is about to make a discovery that should have changed everything. His name was Winifred Otto Schumann. On the day in question, he was teaching his students about the physics of electricity, how a sphere within a sphere can create electrical tension, and subsequently, a frequency. Schumann's class had struggled to understand the subject, so to make it easier, the professor instructed them to imagine the Earth as one sphere and the ionosphere as another. He then asked them to calculate the tension that would exist in between. Having no idea himself, Schumann also began to calculate. Eventually, he arrived at a frequency of approximately 10 hertz. As incredible as it seemed to Schumann, our planet had a pulse, a measurable frequency that surrounded life on Earth. Although the professor was proud of his find, he didn't see it as a hugely significant one, especially as it was only published in a small science journal, confined to the back pages, under the heading of Schumann resonance. It would take several years, and an incredible twist of fate, before the professor would begin to realize the true importance of Schumann resonance. That twist of fate had begun 30 years earlier, with another German scientist by the name of Hans Berger. Using an EEG machine he had built himself, Berger had made the first ever recording of electrical frequency transmitted by the human brain. It was initially suggested the wave be named after the man who discovered it, but Berger, being a modest man, elected for an alphabetical name and called it the alpha wave. Shortly after Professor Schumann's discovery, one of Hans Berger's colleagues, a man named Dr. Ankermüller, happened to stumble upon a bedraggled copy of a small scientific journal. The exact same small scientific journal that Professor Schumann's discovery had been published in several years before. He read the piece several times, shaking his head in disbelief. He realized instantly the magnitude of what was in front of him. The frequency of the alpha waves, recorded by Hans Berger, were almost identical to Schumann resonance. The frequency of the Earth. Dr. Ankermüller immediately contacted Schumann to convince him to investigate further. Schumann agreed and worked alongside one of his students to refine his discovery. They studied in detail how tension is discharged by lightning in the Earth ionosphere cavity. Eventually, they came up with an exact frequency. The pulse of the Earth, Schumann resonance, was exactly 7.83 Hertz. The discovery was remarkable. Schumann resonance wasn't just similar to the alpha waves of the human brain, it was identical. The brain's frequency, which controlled our creativity, our performance, our stress, anxiety, and our immune system, had somehow tuned in to the frequency of the planet. The pulse of the Earth had become the pulse of life.
So this resonance is really frequency. When we see those striations in the sky, I'm sure you've seen them many times. This is the resonance of the vibration, as that wonderful quote from Tesla always says about if you want to study life, you have to study vibration. And it is often seen before an earthquake, because this technology that I write about is capable of setting off earthquakes, and it is done from space or from the higher atmosphere, actually. One thing that Dr. Mahalcha and I were talking about recently on an interview that she did with me is the fact that 4 hertz is the pulse put out by the HARP system. Now, the HARP system, I have to explain that. It's not just that instrument up in Gakona, Alaska, that has all the phased array antennas, acres of them. But it is probably all of the equipment that is resonating with that amazingly powerful instrument in Gakona. And that 4 hertz seems to be an artificial ELF propagation in 4 hertz multiples into the atmosphere to create the cyclotronic resonance. We just saw resonance that impacts our endocrine system and the biologically important ions of sodium, calcium, potassium, and lithium. Can you see how a common background pulse of 4 hertz No longer the Schumann resonance of 11.83 hertz, the resonance of our living planet and brain. Can you see how that pulse of 4 hertz forces us into a hive mind? If you look up in the psychological literature of MK Ultra, you'll find that 4 hertz is between the delta waves of sleep and the theta waves of a relaxed state. So it appears that we are not aware of this 4 hertz pulsing. You need instruments, maybe a Van de Graaff generator or something, in order to pick that up and interpret it. But for sure, it's going on 24/7, has been for years, and certainly a lot of people are having trouble thinking and holding memories in their minds. So it's something we obviously need to think about. The mind control really primarily is being done by satellite, as this as I show here, but it definitely has to do with frequency as well. Now, here's all the different frequencies that we hear. We hear hertz, we don't hear decahertz that much, hectohertz, kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz. Ah, there we are, the 5G, the gigahertz. And then the terahertz, which is 6G. And I wanted to kind of give you a tip that, yes, 5G is up and running for sure. But I think you should add 6G as well, because it too was put up in quantity during the so-called lockdown, when we saw all those white vans moving all over the place. So there's frequency. And then I added this, no virus, just frequencies resonating throughout the atmosphere and our bodies and brains. And what I mean by that is, I definitely feel that if there is a virus, it's not natural. It's not something from life. It's been created. It's what is known as a gain of function. And it probably has to do with a patent that's lucrative and adds power to whoever owns the patent. Natural molecular biology has been transformed into digital synthetic biology, and whose frequencies can now be transmitted by 5G and 6G systems into the human body and brain. This has tremendous repercussions for those of us who wish to remain human. And what I mean by that is, imagine this. You want to give an entire village in South America a disease, a particular disease that has a particular frequency. So instead of thinking of germs and microbes and pathogens and that sort of thing, you have the frequency of that disease. You put it on a 5G or possibly a 6G system. You transmit it to the XY coordinates of that village, and boom, suddenly everybody's getting sick. Now, that peculiarity appears, in my best guess, and this is a guess, an educated guess, that that was included in the in what was in the CV-19 inoculations. And it would stay in the blood, it would stay in the body. And this is one reason that I was happy that that young woman said that she mentioned Dr. Mahalcha and Dr. Nixon. He's not a dentist, by the way, he's an MD. And they are doing a great deal of live blood analysis. I attend their meetings every Saturday. Or Dr. Nixon's. Dr. Anna is not in that group. she's probably too busy. But I listened to, oh, there's about 30 people who attend. Some are doctors, some are medical techs, some are just very smart people who have good microscopes and take good pictures of what they're finding in their own blood and urine and in the blood of others and in things like insulin that people are taking, to get a couple of vials of insulin, look at it, to get the CV-19 serums in some of the containers and look at that under the microscope and to see all the different moving entities and the ability of these entities, some of them, to be able to self-assemble and and not reproduce, but suddenly there's more of them. So there's something going on with synthetic biology. Now, yes, it's in the jabs, but it has been found to be in the environment as well. So it appears that it is also involved in the chemical trails that are constitute a delivery system into the atmosphere that we all breathe in, and then it goes into our blood and in past the blood-brain barrier. This is extremely concerning, as you can imagine, and a lot of people are now tracking this, and you know something's there because the mainstream media will absolutely avoid any mention of this. And so we need to be aware that the delivery system called chemtrails is run by Big Pharma. Big Pharma is, the provider of everything chemical, petroleum products, uh, chemical. They're using nanotechnology. So this is exceedingly important as we study all this that's going on. Science has really changed a lot, and gosh, they're not telling us much, are they? Uh, you have to go and really look at it. I mean, even if you go to grad school, in many of the universities, you won't hear a peep about the fact that we're moving into a Tesla era and away from an Einstein era. This is just a simple little list. I'm not going to defend or castigate any of these, but it gives you an idea of how much it's changed. The theory of general relativity, ether does not exist. The vacuum of space is empty. Gravity is due to the curvature of space. The speed of light is constant. Well, in real physics or in the where the Tesla aspect has been replaced and put back in, as it was taken out in the 1920s to a great degree. Ether is the basic brick of the universe. Not so much plasma. Plasma is secondary to ether. Particles constitute an ether vortex that would include particles like atoms. Imagine atoms as being little vortices. They're spinning, spinning, spinning because the whole universe is just active and alive and sort of toroidal. And then light is a wave in the ether. Energy is an ether movement and pressure, such as life energy, what we've been talking about being healthy, bioenergy. Gravity is an accelerated wind of ether. Speed of light is variable, like in any fluid. It is not constant. So you get an idea of some of the problems. I mean, I suppose I've been thinking about the Harvey Mudd College, which is up here in the Northwest. It used to have a fantastic reputation for science. I'm wondering if they too are still teaching the old school stuff. It's a way of controlling science. If we wonder why so many people in science, including doctors and and medical techs and things like that that we've really gotten a sense of in the last 5 years. You wonder how well they were trained and what they were trained with and what information was relayed to them as being true. I mean, this play for power, for absolute power, is in a way extremely ridiculous because if you're making up lies and you want to have an entire system in science that is absolutely untrue, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you look for people who can really bring to the fore the most brilliant and insightful truths so that you really have a truly um, uh, wonderful kind of science that moves humanity forward? Well, the only thing I can think of is that those scientists who allow that to happen seem to despise humanity and really want us all to look stupid, while they have their little groups, their little esoteric groups. Like one that I know of is the Jason group, and you can look it up. The Jasons are well known in certain circles. They're an elite science group, and they get the best of the best of the best. But uh, otherwise, science is as science does. Uh, this was, I don't know if you remember this. This is when Mr. Trump was in office before. In 2017, this strange picture was taken in the New York Times. And it because I keep an eye out for esoterics and occult uh, uh, innuendos put out by those involved in the occult. I did notice this and I thought, okay, so they're all magicians. And look at the role that Mrs. Trump is playing. Uh, Very interesting picture. I've kept this. And then recently there was another one, very recent. This one, very interesting. President Trump announces Project Stargate AI on January 22nd, 2025. And there's Masayoshi Son, CEO of Stargate LLC, Larry Ellison, Oracle founder, is Silicon Valley, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, Silicon Valley. Now, this has an occult feel to it. This, I could almost say that Trump is playing Hiram Abiff, and these three gentlemen are playing the three apprentices. But mainly, what about that term Stargate AI? That's straight from 1977. You can find it. Wikipedia has something on it as well. But it was sort of a mind control remote viewing project, and it's strange that they brought this term back. And this is not some little thing. This is billions of dollars are going to be poured into this for an AI program. Well, I'm just wondering if it has to do with what I'm talking about and the secret space program and the this geoengineering that goes by the name of helping us survive climate change, which is a cover story. Okay, now we just whip through this because we all know this. This is HAARP, the High Frequency Active Aurora Research Project. It's an ionospheric heater of tremendous power. And this you need to see because this gives the truth to the lie that HAARP is next to nothing and is shut down. It's not shut down at all.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of you this morning. Very interesting. I wanted to ask a couple questions here about HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Several of you at the table have a little bit of a piece here. As you know, this is located up in Alaska. It's currently funded by the Air Force Research Lab. It was formerly funded by the Office of Naval Research. One of the prime customers is DARPA, which is currently running experiments at the facilities here. So questions to several of you this morning. I'm told by the president of the University of Alaska that the Air Force has pulled its support for the facility, and they're taking steps to demolish it or take it down this summer. He's making the argument that there is other opportunities for us, and is trying to find a path where the university might be able to take title to the facility. I'd like to start with you, Dr. Prabhakar. I understand that a lot of folks here on the committee probably don't understand what HARP does. I think most Alaskans don't really know what HARP does or why the agency is involved in it. So a very brief explanation, and then a more direct question. Would you be disappointed, or would you lose something if HARP were to go away?
Senator Murkowski, as I think you know, one of our programs has been using the HARP facility for the research that it's pursuing. And my understanding is that we did get value out of that interaction. The P in DARPA is projects, and we're not in the business of doing the same thing forever. And so very naturally, as we conclude that work, we're going to move on to other topics. So it's not an ongoing need for DARPA, despite the fact that we had actually gotten some good value out of that infrastructure in the past.
Understood. Then to Dr. Walker and Mr. Schaefer, then, Dr. Walker, your agency is currently running the facility. I've mentioned that it's our understanding through the president of UAF that the plans are to move forward and demolish the facility this summer. So the question to you is that accurate? Can you explain why? And then perhaps to both you and Mr. Schaefer, is there any benefit in exploring a potential relationship with the University of Alaska to perhaps take over the hub?
Thank you, Senator. The Air Force has gotten great value out of HARP in the past. We took it over from the Navy and managed it, and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there, and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. And but that work has been completed. The Air Force.
There you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. The Air Force, the American military, and NATO actually control the ionosphere. Now, the ionosphere is, see if I can, yes, okay, the troposphere is 12 miles, that's us. The stratosphere, where the jets fly, 12 to 31 miles. Then the ionosphere starts at about 49 miles above us to 428 miles. And that's what he's saying. And it's circular. It's all around our planet. It's to protect us from solar radiation, etc. And according to him, HARP helped to get control over the ionosphere. So what does control over the ionosphere mean? Well, it means a lot of things. It's a tremendous weapon system. You can bounce signals off of the ionosphere to anywhere on Earth and create havoc in that target area. You can use it for earthquakes. You can use it for other extreme weather events. So, and we siphon a lot of the ions that we need in our atmosphere to keep our wireless tempests going. We siphon those from the ionosphere. So there you go. A lot of people have not believed me, but I saved this because this says, yes, it's true. And it came from DARPA. HARP came from DARPA, of course. Okay, now this is, if you were to look briefly, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, this is the scalar potential beams. This is the kind of weapon system that it is. And you saw it, in my opinion, you saw it working on 9/11. You saw the what's called an interferometry, interfering zones meeting over the target area, and a demolition happening. But it wasn't just a demolition, it was actually a disintegration, a molecular disintegration of bodies, matter, all sorts of things there. That was a huge event, and there has been a lot of disinformation covering that up. The best book on that, on 9/11, regarding this interferometry type of weapon system, is to read Judy Wood's book, Where Did the Towers Go? If you don't have a copy of that, I highly recommend you get one. The binding is crap, but the book is invaluable. I've had my book rebound, in fact. So does she say it's HARP? No, she doesn't. She describes what it was, and she talks about it in scientific terms because she's a PhD in physics, and she leaves it at that. And it's very valuable. So this is the technology that Rosalie Bertell talked about in her first book about this very topic, not going as far as I do, but she was the author of Planet Earth, The Latest Weapon of War, a critical study into the military and the environment. She wrote that book a few decades ago. She was a gray nun, a fantastic, brilliant woman. And she said the ability of the HARP / Space Lab / rocket combination to deliver very large amounts of energy comparable to a nuclear bomb anywhere on Earth via laser and particle beams is frightening. Yes, it is. So here's kind of how the space fence is set up. This is a patent, and as you know, not every patent is developed, but this one certainly was. The method for modifying environmental conditions with a ring around the planet comprised of magnetic material. So there's that, and that is around the equator. But here's a graphic little clip that gives you the idea.
Scientists have discovered a human-made barrier around Earth, protecting against the natural particle radiation in space. They believe the bubble was formed by very low-frequency waves, or VLFs. VLFs have been found to interact with the particles in space, affecting how and where they move. VLFs are used for radio communications, including with submarines, because they can penetrate deep into the ocean. The waves can also travel far into the environment around Earth. By understanding more about how VLF transmissions help shape our space environment, we learn more about this complex region surrounding us. The more we know, the more situational awareness we have to protect our satellites from natural radiation in space.
So this technology that they claim they've just sort of found around the planet is actually from the chemtrails, and the dropping of whatever is being delivered from the stratosphere that has sort of gotten involved in the centrifugal force around the planet and is spinning around and has a magnetic capacity. And this is terrific for so-called communications between space, or that particular part of space, and the planet. But what kind of communications are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about going back to the Schumann resonance situation, that there is control going on. And an article that came out several years ago, even before 2019, as I recall, why is there magnetite in the human brain? Magnetite is often found in animals who migrate because it helps them to, figure out where they are and map their coordinates and that sort of thing. But humans were not known for having magnetite. And yet that's what they have. And that, of course, magnetite can be on a nanoscale. And I believe it was delivered by chemtrails because of this situation of the space fence, that it needs to be magnetic. And here, now let's return to the frequency problem of learning a new nomenclature. This is a lot of work, you know. I'm not asking everybody to, nobody will have to memorize and take a quiz on this if they take my course, by the way. But I think we need to, you know, kind of wake up a little bit about our relationship with electromagnetic, the electromagnetic spectrum. This one is interesting. Let's look at this. Notice the top, only infrared, ultraviolet, and gamma are Hertzian vector waves, wave frequencies, above infrared. And if I can just get these little things out of the way, I can't read that. As are all the waves in nature. Okay, so here's the problem. Infrared, ultraviolet, and there's another one there, which I'm thinking is, I can't remember what it is. Can anybody read that? The word that's right up
Yeah.
here?
It's only infrared, IR, ultraviolet, UV, X-ray, and gamma are Hertzian vector.
Okay, there it is, the X-ray. Yes.
And then the
Okay.
frequencies above infrared are scalar, is it scalar?
Taylor.
They're scalar, which are non-Hertzian, as are all waves in nature and biosystems like ours.
Okay, so let's just to say a word about Tesla, whom I know something about. I've read quite a bit about him, about his biography. He always used scalar waves, and he kept that secret from the American military. Once he realized the problem he was in, that they wanted his weapon ideas. And yes, all the way back there, that would be before World War One, before World War Two. Uh, they they wanted to understand how he was using scalar, because scalar are natural waves. Those are nature and biosystems. But I'm here to tell you that the HARP system is weaponized, and it has weaponized scalar waves as well, I'm sad to report. So this idea of using a separate system, this is not the same as of the electromagnetic system. You can convert scalar waves into electromagnetics, but you cannot convert electromagnetic waves into scalar. So nobody has really, you know, this is not taught in graduate school. This is not taught anywhere that I know of. You have to go on a big tour of all sorts of essays, and the best person was Tom Bearden, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden, who's now dead. But to find out this, now let's just look at these. We're accustomed to these. ELFs, we know that, extra low frequency. VLFs, very low frequency. We just heard that little thing about the what's occurring around the planet. Those are all VLFs. LFs, low frequency, middle frequency, high frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency, extremely high frequency. All of these are Hertzian, are non-Hertzian, and these are what is used against us, because if you can convert either the scalar or the high frequency electromagnetic waves, you can convert them. You want to put them in the brain, or you want to put them in a human being, you're going to have to change them in order to get them in. So the ELF and VLF is no problem. The EHF, UHF, VHF is a problem. So you have to have a carrier wave. And we hear that term sometimes if you're listening to people talking about electromagnetics, you hear about these carrier waves. Well, 5G is a carrier wave. And then, you know, you want something to go into a biosystem of a person, then you have a carrier wave. So that's kind of what that is. And it'd be great if we could learn that. You know, those who are inspired to. I'm not going to say everybody wants to learn about this, but we live in a very electromagnetically controlled environment now. And we need to know more about this. And here's a lovely little of what I just read you. Notice this is our visible realm. This is what you and I can see with our meager human perception. Notice where it is. It's on the edge of the infrared, and then right over here is going to be ionizing radiation, and it's going to be the X-ray and the gamma rays over here. So it even we even see it that we can see this much, and then otherwise we are in the invisible realm, which is another reason that that this type of the technology cannot be seen, and it's hard to actually measure. But this is what they are able to do with the HARP technology. And this was what Tesla had, you know, this must have been Tesla's big machine that they all talk about as being destructive. I'm pretty sure it's the HARP system that they have created. And now they use it now and then in weather events, extreme weather events. And it has a great capacity for destruction, I'm sorry to say. This is Lockheed Martin. I don't have time to show you Lockheed Martin's way of looking at its space fence. It's pretty much
Space is no longer a vast, empty void. Unprecedented quantities of new satellites, derelict satellites, and debris litter the skies, posing an imminent threat to America's space assets.
so they interpret the space fence as protecting us, our assets, and that is not at all what it does. But that's Lockheed Martin for you. And then there's a nice little sketch of how they all work together between the instruments that are on the ground and the infrastructure. I call it infrastructure, and it's very detailed. I'll show you how detailed it is. Lockheed Nets to support space-based infrared system. This is the space fence. And then this is about the radiation in jets, passenger jets, which is 3 times what it should be. And it's because of what's going on in space itself, in the upper atmosphere, that we don't know anything about. So I won't play this either. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. But notice the list here. This is the infrastructure. This is all the stuff that's used in the space fence lockdown. 5G, 6G, telecom industry, radar installations, ionosphere heaters, power lines, NextRads, microwave cell towers, fiber optic cable, phased array antennas, fracking wells, smart meters, particle accelerators, green tech, like wind farms, solar panels, etc. All of it is calibrated to work together. I'm being as honest with you as I can. It sounds amazing. They recalibrate and they recalibrate to keep it all shiny and ready to go. And it basically is a weapon system. I mean, what can I say? It can be used in small areas. It can be used in larger areas. Space fence lockdown delivery systems. And here I list them as I see them. The chemical trails, the satellite NextRad radiation, GMO foods.
Elana,
Huh?
can you make it a little bit louder? Because I know it was loud when you turned that video on. which I'd like everybody to know that we can get the videos from her, and then we'll have it attached when we put it up on the Rumble site.
Oh, so this one, you weren't able to hear me as well?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. And then this is my famous list that I always trot out. This is from Clifford Carnicom from years ago, 2005, when he said there are 7 basic operations of the geoengineering programs. And it's weather engineering, chemical and electromagnetic engineering, planetary geophysical and engineering, directed energy weapons, surveillance, neural manipulation, that's mind control, nanotechnology, digital synthetic biology, and transhumanism. And that I am not talking about tonight, by the way. That's a very large topic, and that's what my next book is about, of how this is done for the transhumans. Cloaking, and then the 7th one is cloaking, obscuration, and detection of exotic propulsion craft. And that is that's a done deal, and they're not coming from off planet. These were all things that we got from the Nazis when we brought them in under Operation Paperclip. I'll mention GMO foods. It's something that I don't think people realize, that the GMO smart fields, I mean, the word smart is a telling word there, of course. The food supply is taken over. For GMO foods, genetically modified foods, it's what we used to call the terminator seed. And it's called terminator seed because it does not reproduce, and it has no biophoton energy. In other words, it's synthetic. So the seed itself is synthetic. It isn't just what's falling on the crop that is, the things that kill the insects and all that. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that the seed is not organic, and I think this is completely an assault on the Homo sapiens in favor of the transhuman, who is that is now in the works ever since the jabs happened almost 5 years ago now. Here is all GMOs are banned in all the nations covered in red. Certainly admirable that in Russia it is simply not allowed at all. And it's a felony, constitutes a felony to bring GMO seed in or to do GMO crops in Russia. And then this is, I just threw this in there because I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner, and it appears that some people who die after having the jab or a series of jabs end up in a terrible paralytic situation beyond the threshold, as it's called, or on the other side of existence. This is a picture of the different parts of the soul that are all intact. And notice it's just a graphic of somebody that believes they know how this works. And you see how they're all sort of lined up and in alignment. But after the jab, it has been found that it sort of fragments the soul into a variety of positions that are not natural to it. And this appears to be the problem that those who have died are having on the other side. Admittedly, this is something that we don't talk about in the West, but certainly in the East, they are quite concerned with the disposition of the soul beyond death. And then this is my final slide. And this is, I don't know if Sabrina Wallace made this. I don't know who made this actually. This diagram shows all the components that are introduced during an inoculation. Now, we're looking at some of this stuff under the microscope. I mean, some of this looks very familiar to me. Certainly, we see a lot of the cube type of thing, which appears to be crystals that are forming in the blood. And then this one that says fractal graphene nano antennas. That one I have seen several times, and that looks like it looks like a circuit board. How is that possible that from the jab that these self-assembling entities are able to just take off? And that's about it. And I'm sorry that I can't go further, but you see how big this subject is. I, I never know what to do with it. It's just sort of like, it's like Ophiuchus, the 13th constellation above us of this huge serpent that is kind of all over the place. And you don't know how quite to present it. It keeps moving. And that's sort of the way all of this material is. It did not occur to me at all when Clifford and I were working together years and years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, that I would look at the Morgellons that we were finding, which is synthetic biology, and that I would one day return to this subject and see it in the human blood in massive quantities, and that it's self-assembling, just like the Morgellons did. I had no idea that I would end up in a way, at the same place I started from, but with a lot more knowledge of what's going on. So the book I'm writing now will be about the synthetic biology, and we'll have quite a few illustrations, though probably they're going to be in black and white, sadly.
Thank you, Elana. Thank you. It was so incredible. Big hand for Elana.